director who's found a lot of success with crowd-pleasing blockbusters is Shawn Levy. However, he has also proven himself quite prolific as a producer. Through his production company, 21 Laps Entertainment, he has produced not only his own movies, but those of other filmmakers as well. Long before he started his company, Shawn Levy had established himself as a reliable television director, working primarily on family shows like The Secret World of Alex Mack and Animorphs. Although the series he really made his mark on was the famous Jet Jackson. He directed most of the episodes and would even be promoted to executive producer for the third season. He also directed the Jet Jackson movie, and the show was actually the first time I became aware of him, as I kept spotting his name in the credits. Levy would then serve as a producer on the holiday TV movie I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. While Levy directed a few low-budget movies that did not receive much attention, his big screen break came with the family comedy Big Fat Liar, which became a hit thanks to its high-concept premise. He then followed up with the romantic comedy Just Married and the family film Cheaper by the Dozen, which performed well at the box office. Those two movies were released by 20th Century Fox, who were impressed enough to sign Levy to a first-look deal in 2005. He started 21 Laps that year, and while he was known for family films early in his career, he did not want to solely produce those films and sought a variety of potential projects. The first 21 Laps production was Cheaper by the Dozen 2, which Adam Shankman directed. Levy then decided to get involved in the production of Night in the Museum, which was being developed by Chris Columbus' company 1492 Pictures. After Columbus decided not to direct the film himself, Levy took on those duties and delivered a massive hit. 21 Laps continued to look for possible scripts, mainly picking up comedies. There was What Happens in Vegas, which was a sizable hit, and The Rocker, which flopped. Levy also produced the alien invasion comedy The Watch, although it was originally developed and marketed under the title Neighborhood Watch. However, following the fatal shooting of Trayvon Martin by Neighborhood Watch coordinator George Zimmerman, everyone involved decided it was best to change the title and some of the advertising to avoid looking insensitive. The film would end up pulling in disappointing numbers. Of course, Shawn Levy would continue to direct his own movies. There were the Night in the Museum sequels, which continued to be successful crowd pleasers. The romantic comedy Date Night, starring Steve Carell and Tina Fey, was also a hit. Not doing nearly as well was The Internship, which was accused of just being a commercial for Google. 21 Laps would not just produce films for Fox, though. DreamWorks Pictures had been developing Real Steel for a while when Steven Spielberg personally asked Levy if he would be interested in directing. He got involved as not only a director, but a producer as well, and the film received okay reviews and decent box office. There were also projects originally intended for Fox, but would end up in the hands of other distributors. 21 Laps was initially going to produce The Spectacular Now for Fox Searchlight, with Mark Webb attached to direct. After Webb left the film, Searchlight decided to put in a turnaround. Producer Andrew Lauren then decided to help get the film made by putting his own money into the production. James Ponsell became the new director, and the movie was purchased by A24 following its premiere at the Sundance Film Festival. 21 Laps joined forces with the Jim Henson Company to produce a film adaptation of Alexander and the Terrible Horrible No Good Very Bad Day. It was originally going to be released by Fox, but they decided to drop the movie over budget concerns. Disney would then pick up the film, and it became a nice profitable hit for them. Shawn Levy went for a change of pace on his next directorial effort, This Is Where I Leave You. This was a dramedy as opposed to the big special effects movies and broad comedies he was known for, with the film being released by Warner Brothers. A script that was passed around Hollywood that 21 Laps took an interest in was Story of Your Life, Eric Heiser's adaptation of a short story by Ted Chiang. They then approached Denis Villeneuve to direct, and during the Cannes Film Festival, Paramount signed a deal for the North American distribution rights, and Sony agreed to handle most international territories. Released under the title Arrival, the movie was highly acclaimed, pulled in solid numbers, and would earn Shawn Levy and one of his 21 Laps partners, Dan Levine, their first Oscar nomination for Best Picture. I've been talking about the movies the company has produced, but it's also been involved in a few notable television series. 21 Laps produced the Tim Allen sitcom Last Man Standing, which ran for 6 seasons on ABC, and then 3 more on Fox. However, their biggest television success is, without a doubt, Stranger Things. Shawn Levy was given the Duffer Brothers pilot script and immediately agreed to produce the series and get it on the air. A deal was made with Netflix, and while the Duffers would direct most of the season 1 episodes, Levy directed the others. Stranger Things became an immediate hit with 5 seasons produced in total, and Levy ultimately directing 2 episodes per season. Back to their movies, 21 Laps continued to see some of their productions released by Fox, like the comedy Why Him and the young adult adaptation The Darkest Minds. Outside of Fox, 21 Laps produced the comedy Fist Fight for Warner Brothers, the post-apocalyptic science fiction film Love and Monsters for Paramount, and the drama Kodachrome was produced independently and then picked up by Netflix. Of course, like any production company, they've had their share of projects that ended up stuck in development hell for one reason or another. They got the rights to produce a Berenstain Bears movie, partnering with Walden Media, and planned to make it as a live-action CG hybrid. It never went past the script stage, though. 21 Laps also tried for a while to make an animated feature based on the Mr. Men books before the rights expired, and now Paddington producers Studio Canal and Heyday Films will be making it. They acquired the rights to make a film adaptation of the book Fancy Nancy, which had Tina Fey attached, but that also did not go anywhere, and the rights then went to Disney. 21 Laps was going to produce a movie based on the popular Substitute Teacher sketch from Key and Peele. It was set up at Paramount, but then also never got made. They were even going to make an animated King Kong movie at Fox at one point. They have a whole list of other canceled projects I could mention, but the one that actually came really close to happening was a new Sesame Street movie. Anne Hathaway signed on to appear in it, Bo Burnham wrote several songs, and Warner Brothers was going to release it. However, the pandemic and Warner Brothers getting new leadership put the film on pause. Right now, both Sesame Street and 21 Laps have deals with Netflix, so maybe it could end up moving there if WB has lost interest. But we'll see what happens. Returning to the films that did end up getting made, Levy directed the video game set comedy Free Guy, which after initially getting delayed due to the pandemic, made its way to theaters and performed very well. In fact, Free Guy occupies a special place in my own personal movie-going history, as it was the first movie I saw in theaters after they reopened in 2021. Levy would also direct another science fiction film with Ryan Reynolds, The Adam Project. This movie was released on Netflix and pulled in strong viewership. Like anyone developing projects at 20th Century Fox, Levy and 21 Laps had to deal with the Disney merger and then deciding which projects to move forward with. Crater was a script that 21 Laps originally picked up for release by 20th Century Fox. Following the merger, development stalled on the film until it was transferred to Walt Disney Pictures and released on their streaming service. Although due to a content purge, it was unfortunately only on there for a month, so it did not have much time to gain a significant audience. 21 Laps got the rights to the Stephen King story The Boogeyman, and its fate was similarly left uncertain after the merger, but it was then revived as a straight-to-Hulu movie. When it received positive test screenings, the decision was made to give it a theatrical release, where it performed okay. Rosalind, an alternate telling of Romeo and Juliet, had an interesting development history. 21 Laps originally developed the movie for 20th Century Fox, but the project then moved to Universal, then after a while it was acquired by MGM. Finally, it ended up returning to 20th Century, which released the movie on Hulu. Although like Crater, Rosalind was eventually removed from the service to much disappointment as it was quite well received. Meanwhile, Disney has tapped into a few 21 Laps productions to develop new films in those franchises. An animated Night at the Museum movie was made for Disney+, and even though 21 Laps was not credited on the new Cheaper by the Dozen movie, Shawn Levy received an executive producer credit. They additionally greenlit another take on Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, which featured a new cast and this time about a road trip gone wrong. Shawn Levy has also been lured into some of Disney's own franchises. He became involved in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, directing, co-writing, and co-producing Deadpool and Wolverine. Levy also recently completed filming on Star Wars Starfighter, part of a long desire he had to direct a Star Wars movie, and it's currently set for release next year. Although even with his involvement in these Disney productions, Shawn Levy and 21 Laps have also been working a lot with Netflix these past few years as part of a first-look deal with them. They have produced shows like a revival of Unsolved Mysteries, the animated miniseries Lost Ollie, and the fantasy series Shadow and Bone. There was also the World War II set miniseries All the Light We Cannot See, which Levy directed. And while Stranger Things recently completed its run, Netflix will definitely not be letting one of their biggest cash cows go away anytime soon, as an animated series is set for release, and spin-off shows are also reportedly in the works. But what else does 21 Laps potentially have coming in the future? They are currently in post-production on the horror movie The Backrooms, which will be distributed by A24. They are also developing a movie based on Disneyland's infamous Club 33, and an adaptation of the stage musical Be More Chill at Disney, and Levy has also been trying to get a Free Guy sequel and another Night at the Museum off the ground. Over at Netflix, 21 Laps is currently developing an adaptation of the video game Kingmakers and are partnering with Happy Madison on the comedy Dad Camp. This is just a sample of what they're working on, though, as they have a bunch of projects in various stages of development. But as you can see, Shawn Levy has been able to show his strength as a producer, finding a variety of scripts and getting the rights to several promising concepts, and more often than not, making things people want to watch. See you next time.